One is set to be executed by electrocution. I'm David Carroll.
And I'm Cindy Sexton. Our Claudia Coco joins us live now in the studio with what will happen in the days leading up to it. Claudia?
Cindy, David, 3 days prior to execution, Lee Hall will be taken to a different part of Riverbend Maximum Security Prison. He will enter the period of time the Department of Corrections calls Death Watch. I called the Tennessee Department of Corrections Monday and they said, quote, "We can't speak about specific procedures, but I can tell you that the Department of Correction is prepared to carry out the orders of the court." 3 days prior to a scheduled execution, the inmate is placed on death watch. Lee Hall was sentenced to die by electrocution for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, Tracy Crozier. She died days after Hall set fire to her body in her vehicle in 1991. According to the TDOC website, Hall will be under a 24-hour observation in an 8x10 cell adjacent to the execution chamber. The cell has a small window with a limited view of the prison's grounds. In the last few days, Hall's routine will be different than a normal inmate. He will be able to request his final meal within reason and legal materials. He will have mail privileges but not packages, and a telephone outside the cell to make personal calls approved by the warden or legal calls. Inside the cell, Hall can have one newspaper at a time, personal hygiene products, stationery, and religious material. He can only have visitors who are on his official visitation list, and all visits are to be non-contact until the final day before the execution. The warden will decide if Hall can have a contact visit. As for what happens after the execution, a TDOC spokesperson told me arrangements have been made by Hall's family. A motion was filed with the Supreme Court of Tennessee on Friday for a stay of execution. It cited a similar case of juror bias in which the death penalty was vacated. Hall's execution is set for Thursday, December 5th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time at the Riverbend Maximum Security Prison in Nashville. Live in the studio, Claudia Coco, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Claudia. Before that motion with the Supreme Court was filed, attorneys for Lee Hall requested post-conviction relief here in Hamilton County. They argued before Judge Don Poole that Hall did not receive a fair trial because a member of the jury revealed she was a survivor of domestic violence prior to the trial. Judge Poole denied the request. The Associated Press reports Lee Hall is functionally blind. His lawyers say he had his sight when he entered death row nearly 3 decades ago, but has since become functionally blind because of improperly treated glaucoma. Hall's attorneys say only one other blind prisoner has been executed since the death penalty was reinstated in 1976.